Right, just to review the different goals of the various countries at the Paris Peace Conference, the United States basically wanted lasting peace, so open diplomacy, arms reduction, self determination, and League of Nations. Britain wanted Germany to pay for the war, and France is concerned with security. They want to gut the German military, create a separate Rhineland, and they also want Germany to pay for the war. Notice Italy is not listed as one of the big three. Neither is Japan. Both Italy and Japan will end up feeling slighted, cheated, if you will, by the Allies, which helps explain why in World War II, Italy and Japan end up on the other side. So the Treaty of Versailles that officially brings World War One to an end is a mixture of all those different goals. There are military restrictions placed on Germany. Their army could only have 100,000 soldiers, which was a teeny tiny little army. They had 900,000 soldiers before the war started. 100,000 was rather insulting to the Germans. They could not have an air force at all of any kind whatsoever. By the end of World War One, everyone saw that the future of combat was in the air, and Germany was not going to be allowed to have that. They also had to reduce the size of their navy. Britain was all over that one. Now, the Rhineland was not separated from Germany. It remains German territory, but it's demilitarized. Germany could not have any military presence in the Rhineland because the Rhineland was in Germany, but it bordered France. So, no military presence whatsoever. They also had to pay reparations. Reparations that Germany's going to have a hard time paying. We'll see that in a future chapter. The Nazis will take advantage of that as well, and France gets back Alsace-Lorraine. One of the reasons why France wanted World War One was to get Alsace-Lorraine back. They lost it during the Franco-Prussian War, and they got it back. And probably the most pointless clause or part of the Treaty of Versailles was the Article 231, the admission of guilt clause, where Germany had to admit that the war was all its fault. There was no need for that to be in there. Historians now look back and see that that was probably a step too far, and it's just going to anger many Germans. So if you're Germany, if you're the average German, you're a little confused about what's going on because the Allies, the British, the French, the Americans, they never stepped foot on German soil, yet you are being punished. You feel like you're being treated unfairly. Many Germans will believe this to be a harsh and unfair peace. And once again, eventually a guy named Adolf Hitler is going to take advantage of that and say, if I'm in charge, we're going to ignore the Treaty of Versailles. We just won't follow it. And that's going to be very popular among some German people. Woodrow Wilson does get his League of Nations, though, an international organization designed to keep world peace. Now, since it doesn't exist anymore, more than likely it's going to fail, and Europe is redrawn. One of the ideas was self-determination. If you give every ethnic group its own country, everybody will be happy and leave everyone alone. So there is no more Austrian-Hungarian Empire. It is gone. There is no more royal family in Austria. There's no more Austrian-Hungarian Empire. It is over. And out of the ashes arise Austria, a separate country called Hungary, a brand new country called Czechoslovakia, which was a mixture of Czechs and Slovaks, hence the name, and then Yugoslavia, a kingdom of southern Slavs. If you remember, that was always Serbia's goal to begin with. And there's a bunch of brand new countries: Finland, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, and Poland. Once again, the idea, if you give everyone their own country, everybody will be happy and everybody will leave each other alone. That's self-determination, right? Every ethnic group to have its own country. But that's not really how it shook out, because not every ethnic group got its own country, because either for political compromise or the sake of security, you ended up with minorities stuck in some of these brand new countries like Poland. Poland had a fairly large German minority, and they're not happy about being in Poland. Because they're not Polish, they're German. They want to be part of Germany. And once again, Hitler will take advantage of that as well. When he takes over Germany, he'll eventually say, well, one of my goals is to unite all the Germans into one Germany, which would mean conquering parts of Poland. There are even Austrians who wanted Austria to be part of a larger Germany, because most Austrians were of ethnic German descent. In Czechoslovakia, you had Hungarians who were like, why aren't we part of the new country called Hungary? You had Poles who were like, why aren't we part of Poland? And you had Germans, once again, who were like, why aren't we part of Germany? Hitler, by the way, will also advocate Germany taking over part of Czechoslovakia, the part that had Germans in it. The Romanians had Hungarians in it, and the Yugoslavia was just a mess. You had Serbs, Croats, Slovenes, Macedonians, and Albanians. And they're not super stoked about being all lumped together. There are also different religions. Some were Catholic, some were Protestant, some were Eastern Orthodox. You had a Jewish population. You also had a Muslim population as well. So Yugoslavia is a bit of a mess. So not everyone got its own country. So not everyone is happy, particularly ethnic Germans. Now you look at the Middle East. Remember, Britain promised the Middle East, the Arabic people, their own countries if they rebelled against the Ottomans. And yeah, they didn't. They didn't fulfill that promise. They backed out. The reality was they turned the Middle East into mandates. A mandate was a polite word for colonies, essentially. The Ottoman Empire collapses. There is no more Ottoman Empire, and in its place are new supposed countries like Syria and Lebanon, Persia. But they are mandates. They are protected supposedly on behalf of the League of Nations by other countries. Right? So Palestine, for instance, was a British mandate. Technically, Palestine was its own country, but it was administered and protected by Britain on behalf of the League of Nations. Basically, it was a British colony, is what it amounts to. And the Arabic people will feel betrayed by this because, well, they are betrayed by this. So World War One has huge consequences. There's no more German Empire. There's no more Austrian Empire. There's no more Ottoman Empire. It dethroned many monarchs. It dethroned William II in Germany. It dethroned Tsar Nicholas II in Russia. It has led to Russia becoming communist as well. It has also planted the seeds of World War II because you have ethnic Germans stuck in these other countries. They're not happy about it, and you have a very harsh, unfair peace in the Treaty of Versailles. In fact, there are historians who claim that World War One never ended. That World War One and World War Two are actually the same conflict, just with a bit of a break in between, like an extended timeout, basically. Because World War One does not create lasting peace; it just sows the seeds for future conflict.